Hey guys, how's it going? This is Natinator, and you might be wondering why I'm not sounding all, hey guys, how's it going? Because today, this video is a little different. It is a creepypasta, and you do have to be all in the dark and stuff, but this particular one is very special because it's a video that will celebrate our achievement of a combined 15,000 subscribers, and that is just amazing. Every time I come up on a milestone, I think, you know, this is crazy, it's never gonna get further than this, like, this is the end, this is where I'll stay, but it just keeps going, and it's really been a while since I've been able to put out a video which has actual content besides me just rambling and saying thank you. Usually because, like, if I have voice actors with me, sometimes they blank. Like, not like always just because they just don't care or whatever. I'm sure they have their own business, and I try not to be all, like, over the top of them. I just say, you know, just go ahead and send it in, like, soon, and if not, then it's alright. But, you know, so, yeah, finally I have something of substance that I can show you, not only just saying thank you, but I can also show you that I've done something with only you guys in mind, with only, like, just a complete and sincere thank you to you guys for being here, being awesome, and just really, just making my life, really, because I wouldn't really be doing much else if I wasn't doing this. So yeah, I'm very thankful for you guys, and well, I hope that this is enough to, like, show you for now, because there's going to be more in the future. I don't know how I'm going to continue writing, but well, I guess to anyone who doesn't know yet, this story is one that I have written myself. It's completely from scratch. Actually, I based it on something that happened to me rather recently, actually, but I put a little twist on it so it wasn't boring or whatever. But I just, maybe a little disclaimer or something, I'm not an author or a writer, I'm just a narrator, and, like, that should show in my writing, because it's not great. Like, I know how to use grammar and punctuation and all that, but when it comes down to it, I'm not good at doing the whole show and not tell. Like, I don't know if you guys got told that, but back when I used to do English and stuff, my tutor used to say to me, you know, when you write a story, make sure that you are showing your reader what's happening instead of just saying what's happening, and I always fall into that trap, so I hope that that doesn't suck for you guys. And, well, yeah, sorry, I'm starting to ramble again, but I'll have put in an annotation just to skip straight to the story, so for anyone who doesn't want to have to hear this crap, they can move right on to the story. And, well, this isn't really crap, this is me one-on-oneing with you guys again, but yeah. I want to really, like, ramp it up and hype it, but the problem is, like, you know, like, I want to be like, oh, alright, I hope you guys are ready, because this is something that I've labored on for a while now. Like, I'm so bad at writing, it takes me so long to write anything. Like, even the plan, like, the planning stage took me forever, because I want it to be perfect for you guys, but at the same time, because I'm a crappy writer, I can't make it perfect. So, it's the best that I can throw together. And, well, you know, I hope you like it. So, once again, thank you very, 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 very much from the bottom of my heart and everything else. Thank you for just, I guess, investing your time and belief into me, because I'm gonna do what I can to try and make it worth it. Like, I mean, you hit subscribe, and I'm sure that, like, the majority of you just hit subscribe and then never watch it again. It's just like, oh, he has a cool voice. Boom. Back to the drawer of thousands of other subscribed things. But for the people who I see every now and then, or all the time just commenting. I really do appreciate that you guys take your time, like time out of your day that you could be doing anything else. You could be sleeping, you could be doing homework, you could be playing video games, listening to music, you could be doing anything, but instead of doing something that you would rather do, you listen to boring old me reading stories on the internet. And you know, that's kind of like a cool little thing. It's like, you know, it like makes me feel really, I don't know, like it makes me feel warm inside, I guess you could say, because it's like, you know, like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just like, you shouldn't be listening to me. You should be doing those things that you want to do. Just go and do them now. Stop watching, because I'd rather you do that than have to listen to me. But for anyone who still decides to continue listening instead of doing what they love to do or whatever, then I really do thank you as well. And yeah, I only hope that in the future that I can continue to bring you guys like high quality stories and like, I don't know how long it's gonna take, but whenever I move out of home for real, it might be like a couple more years, but whenever I fully move out and make money, which might take some more years, I'm gonna get a study to myself, I'm gonna soundproof it, I'm gonna set up a legitimate recording studio just so I can do this for you guys more professionally, for the better quality. And yeah, because, you know, I'm still using a goddamn Turtle Beach headset to record that I've been using for years, like with the goddamn Xbox 360 playing Modern Warfare, so, you know, it's not very professional right now, but I kind of like tweak it in Audacity so it sounds a bit more heavier and a bit more like, it sounds nicer to listen to. So yeah, I kind of lost track of what I was talking about there, but yes. So this video is literally all for you guys. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting, doing all that stuff, which I don't want you to do it, but at the same time, it really does help, and it makes me feel like we're a bit of a family, I guess, because I always see you guys, and we're always here. I'm trying to talk to all of you. I don't know how much longer it's going to be before I might not be able to do that anymore, but I'll do it as much as I can. And, well, I guess we'll get right to it then. Thanks for listening, and for the people who are tuning in right now, because I'll put the annotation to jump to this point, let's do this shit. The story is titled The Dog Lady. Now, as always, turn out the lights, get comfortable, and let the story begin. A brisk breeze filtered through the house as the front door creaked open. Hi, I'm sorry to bother you. You see, my dog ran away from home a few weeks ago, and I've been looking for her ever since. Ryan's eyelids squinted in the morning sun, causing an unintentional sneer to form on his face. I'm so sorry. The old woman who stood before Ryan looked down. I know it's early, but I really love my dog. She's all I've got, and I'm doing everything I can to get her back. So many dogs have been going missing lately. I just can't imagine what might be happening to my poor princess. Trying his best to conceal the lack of sleep and interest from his face, Ryan put on a weak smile. It's no trouble. He peered at the poster the lady was thrusting into his hands. A flash of recognition went through his mind, and he realized that she had noticed. She leaned in, further than one would expect of a stranger, eyes widening. You wouldn't happen to recognize her, would you? A sprinkle of excitement was mixed with these words. No, I'm sorry, ma'am. I actually recalled seeing one of your posters on a board down the road yesterday. Ryan looked on in a quiet horror, as the woman's face seemingly aged with her despair. He relaxed slightly, and let out an inward sigh, as she returned to a respectful distance on the porch. The old lady shot a rigid glance to the ground beside her, eyebrows furrowed. A scowl crossed her face as the silence between them thickened. A sheer look of hatred materialized fleetingly, and vanished as soon as it had arrived. Ryan was taken aback as she turned off with a smile and bid him a good day. As she shuffled along his concrete driveway, he couldn't help but feel the need to close the door as quietly as possible, locking it in a similar fashion, and then watching on through a curtained window to make sure she was definitely gone. He couldn't quite place the reason for this apprehension, but he was alert enough to see that there was something a little off about that lady. A few screws loose, perhaps? He thought to himself as he turned away. With his back to the window, he felt a burning sensation trickle down his spine. He imagined that she might have stopped at the end of the driveway and turned back to stare at him. Or even worse, she could be right there, at the window looking in. He felt like a robot, turning ever so slowly to peek back at the window. She was gone without a trace. He shuddered, but let out a laugh. There was no need to be afraid of some old lady anyway. Ryan crumpled the poster in his hands and set out to begin his day. It wasn't for another few days before he would run into what he began referring to as the dog lady. The weather had changed drastically during this time. The bright sun and quaint breeze of Sunday morning had been replaced with a black and stormy Thursday night. With the rain appearing to be falling horizontally, Ryan jumped when he heard the sound of a forceful knocking at his door. He wasn't expecting visitors of any kind, and, considering the weather, it seemed unlikely that someone would be at his door on a night like this. Could have just been the wind knocking the door about, he rationalized, although he was interrupted mid-thought by the same banging. He stood up. Reaching for the door, the handle turned without a struggle. Ryan swore he'd locked the door, but right now, he was more interested in who was on the other side. Cracking it open a little, he shot a curious, yet cautious look through. "Hello there. Do you remember me?" A familiar voice floated in from the darkness outside. It was unmistakable, even amidst the rain and wind. "Have you seen my dog?" Ryan stepped back from the door when the dog lady's face suddenly appeared in the frame. She wore a wild look with a red gleam of desperation in her eyes. With a gaping mouth, the woman revealed her toothless maw, much to Ryan's disgust. Hair matted to her face and absolutely drenched, she inched closer. Trying to take control of the situation, he stepped toward the door, hand hidden, gripping the handle. Are you okay out there, ma'am? Are you lost?" he stuttered out. Immediately, he once again saw her face transform into something demonic. "I asked you a question." She spoke low, face stoic, eyes boring into Ryan's, as if completely smitten by the sudden change. His breathing became shallow, eyes darting around. "Look, I have no idea where your dog is," he shrugged defensively. "I haven't been out of the house since you came by last time." Shaking his head, he showed a look of helplessness. Staring daggers, she backed off a little. "I spoke to a medium," she muttered quietly, as if to herself. "What was that?" "I spoke to a medium," she repeated. "I've been looking for my dog from the day she went missing, and I've tried everything. The last thing I tried was to have a medium visualize where she went. The medium was insistent that there was a strong feeling coming from this house at this address." Once again, Ryan shook his head. "I'm afraid that your medium must have been mistaken. I'm living alone here, and I've never so much as owned a pet dog before. I think you're gonna have to try somewhere else." The old woman stood stock still for a moment. Ryan's grip upon the door handle stiffened. She seemed to be processing his last statement. Then, as if struck by a sudden realization, she turned without a word and stepped off the porch and into the rain. He watched on, bewildered, as she trudged through the sodden grass, but he didn't close the door before she turned and shot a glance back toward him. Shit, that woman is a frickin' nutcase. With the mental image of a long workday ahead, he decided to turn in for the night and try to forget about her. He thought to himself that he'd probably never see her again, so he shouldn't have to worry about it. He was awoken at 5 a.m. by the buzzing of his alarm. An hour later, he was showered, dressed, and ready to leave. Locking the door behind him, he jumped in his car and began his half-hour commute. He wasn't 5 minutes away from his house before he realized he'd left his work keys on the desk at home. Pulling up into the driveway, Ryan captured a short flash of movement on the front porch out of the corner of his eye. Drawing his attention to the small couch, a figure was hunched over there. Heart beating, he wiped the dreariness from his eyes and looked again to confirm what he was seeing. Sure enough, there was still someone there, moving toward him. Drawing his courage, Ryan called out, "Excuse me, what do you think you're doing?" He inched closer to get a view of the silhouette still hidden by the lack of sunlight. His eyes widened, legs frozen. The dog lady was there, just standing there. "Hey, you! What are you doing out here?" Her head ticked sideways, like a sprinkler, until she faced him. "I was sleeping," she stated matter-of-factly, straightening a pillow on the couch. He couldn't say another word. It was as if his jaw had become unhinged, leaving his mouth agape. She passed by him and whispered, "I'll see you soon." He didn't know how to respond. By the time he had finished registering all of this, she was all but gone. To his horror, the front door handle turned without resistance again. It was definitely locked when he left. That was the straw that broke the camel's back for him. He rushed inside and grabbed the phone to dial into his local police. 10 minutes, a few common-sense warnings and referral to call back if anything else developed later. Ryan hung up the phone. Defeated, he decided to just go to work and maybe sort out finding a locksmith in the afternoon. The rain had picked up again throughout the day as the hours lingered on. A downfall pounded on the hood as Ryan's car squeaked into his driveway. Rushing to the door, fishing for the keys from his tight pockets, his eyes grew wide in shock. The front door was slightly ajar. Looking inside, it was dark. Body rigid, Ryan pressed forward on the door. The familiar creak echoed through the entrance hall. Wincing at the sound like a wound, he stepped in cautiously, hands out. Someone's in here. I can feel it. Ryan took quiet steps and took a quick left, moving now with the speed and silence of a mouse. His direction was deliberate. Passing rooms without even a turn of the head, he came to the door hidden away at the back of the house. A broken padlock and a hammer lay discarded. Beside them was an open doorway. Subconsciously, he picked up the hammer, sizing it up in his hands, before taking the first step down into the basement. What the fuck am I doing? I've gotten myself into some real deep shit now. I should have just waited until he got home. He seemed like a nice guy. He even seemed concerned when I told him about my missing dog. That certainly isn't any of his concern. But here I am, standing in the hallway after breaking into his house. Why have I done this? It's to get my dog back. Something I may have withheld when I let on about consulting a medium was that she had clearly seen a room locked and hidden away beyond all others. That was where my dog was. I could have just waited. I could have just asked him to let me in and talk about it. Then I would have been able to peacefully examine his house while pretending to find a bathroom. But here I am, and there's the door. Just as the medium had foretold, there was a small door right at the back of the house. A thick padlock rested on a metal hinge. There seemed to be a heavy presence behind this door. It felt sinister. It was as if a demon was standing with its face pressed against the door from the other side. Before I could talk myself out of it, I'd swung my hammer. It crashed to the floor alongside the now broken lock. I pushed the door open. The first thing that came from this was a rush of air, as if it were trying to escape confinement. It was stale, and yet pungent. A smell that felt thick enough to swim in. I nearly gagged. The smell was worse than weeks-old rotten eggs, milk, and meat all together. Pinching my nose, I peered through the opening. Beyond it laid a deep and black staircase that seemed to descend into the bowels of the house. Each stair grunted as my weight shifted past. It felt like an eternal stare into nothingness. By the time I reached the bottom, the light was far behind me. I fumbled in the dark for a light switch, or something to get my bearings at least. Hand sliding around the wall, I felt a stickiness coating the wall like sap, which turned my stomach over. Miraculously, I managed to find the switch and hit it immediately. In this moment, a single dust-coated bulb cracked into a weak state of life. With every flicker, the true horror of the room I'd stumbled into was illuminated. Caking every wall, the floor, and even parts of the ceiling was blood. I didn't even have time to wonder where it all came from. I saw dog parts strewn all about this room. Legs were sorted into a stack like firewood to my right. Fur and hide had been mixed in a broth of blood to my left. Before I could even register this, it was then that I saw my dog. Her head was mounted on a pike in the middle of the room amidst many others. I dropped to my knees and threw up. I'd lost feeling in my body and I was shaking like a pneumonia patient. The light above me continued to crackle away, taunting me as the room went black, giving me a moment to believe it might all be my imagination. It was then that I heard the groaning of wood coming from the staircase.